My daughter's husband spent 10 years teaching her that I was a threat. By the time he was finished, she would not answer my calls, would not come to her mother's burial, and would not let me send a Christmas gift to my only granddaughter. Then I sold the crane and rigging company I had built from 2 flatbed trucks into a business worth $18. 7 millions. I bought a limestone house on 15 acres outside Georgetown, Texas, in Williamson County. And I tried to learn how a man lives when nobody needs him anymore. 19 days into that silence, I was in the barn trying to fix a jammed hay door when I heard tires on the gravel drive. One car door slammed, then another, then a third. A woman's voice I had not heard since 2015 called out, "Dad, we're home." What I did over the next 9 days is why I am telling you this story. If your own blood has ever looked at you like an inconvenience until your money made you useful again, hit the like button. Tell me in the comments where you are listening from and what time it is there. Subscribe to Silent Family Revenge, because some doors should never be opened twice, and some people only understand a lock after it closes behind them. My name is Russell Carver. I am 68 years old. For most of my life, I moved things other men were afraid to touch. Cooling towers, bridge beams, refinery vessels, the kind of steel that kills you if a strap slips or a hand signal is late. My hands have been split open, burned, and stitched more times than I can count. They are ugly hands, but they are steady hands. That matters later. I walked out to the front porch, and there they stood. My daughter Meredith was 39, but she looked worn down in a way age does not explain. Her hair was cut short and dyed a flat black that did not suit her. She had the same mouth her mother had, but she held it tight, like smiling cost her money. Beside her was her husband, Aaron Pike. I had never trusted Aaron. Not once. He had the kind of friendliness that felt like a sales pitch. He wore a navy blazer in Texas heat, a silver watch too large for his wrist, and a smile that arrived before his eyes did. And behind them, half hidden by the open door of a dusty gray Tahoe, stood a girl with a backpack hugged to her chest. Lucy, my granddaughter, 12 years old. Though I had not seen her since she was 2, she had Ellen's eyes, my wife's eyes, big, gray, watchful eyes that had learned not to ask for anything. She was too thin. That was the first thing I noticed. Thin arms, knobby elbows, collarbones sharp enough to make me look away, and then look back, because a man should not look away from a thing like that. There was a yellowing bruise around her left wrist, like fingers had been there. She saw me see it and tucked the wrist behind the backpack. "Russell," Aaron said, stepping forward with both arms spread wide. "Look at you. Retirement suits you." I did not move into the hug. I let his arms close around empty air. Meredith's eyes flicked from me to the house, then to the barn, then to the stone arch over the driveway. She was taking inventory before she said hello. That hurt more than I expected. "Hi, Dad," she said. "It's been a long time. 10 years and 4 months." I said, "Your mother waited for you." Meredith flinched. Aaron stepped into the gap fast. "Sir, we carry regret about that every day. Truly. Medu, we were in a very complicated season then. But we are here now, and that is what matters. We want to heal." Lucy has been begging to know her grandpa. He reached back and put his hand on Lucy's shoulder. She stiffened. "Not much. Just enough. Haven't you?" "Sweetheart," he asked. Lucy stared at the porch boards and said nothing. I looked past them into the driveway. They had the Tahoe, 8 suitcases, 2 laundry baskets, a plastic storage tub with a cracked lid, and a dog carrier with a shaking beagle inside. 8 suitcases and a dog. "How long are you planning to stay?" I asked. Aaron laughed, like the question was charming. "We'll figure that out once we catch our breath." It was a long ride from Albuquerque. You drove from Albuquerque to my house, with 8 suitcases and a dog, without calling first. Meredith's cheeks colored. Aaron's smile sharpened. "We wanted to surprise you," he said. "Family shouldn't need an appointment." I looked at Lucy again. Her lips were dry. Her backpack was old and torn near the zipper. The dog in the carrier gave one small whine, and Lucy's eyes moved toward it like she wanted to apologize. That was the moment I made my first decision. Come inside, I said. Leave the bags. My front room is larger than it needs to be. When I bought the place, I told myself I wanted room for grandchildren, for Christmas tables, for people to sleep over and complain about my coffee. The truth was, I bought too much house because Ellen had died, and silence had filled every corner of the old one. Ellen Carver, 42 years of marriage. Cancer took her in April of 2021. Meredith did not come. She sent a text 2 days later that said, "I hope the service brought you closure." That was all. I still have it on my phone. I do not know why. Aaron sat in Ellen's chair without asking. That was his second mistake. Meredith sat on the sofa edge and kept smoothing her pants. Lucy stood by the wall. "This house is incredible," Aaron said. 5 bedrooms, 6'5". I said, "And a shop, a barn, acreage. My goodness. You always did know how to land on your feet." I did not answer. Meredith looked at her hands. "Dad, we need to talk to you." "I guess that." Aaron leaned forward, elbows on his knees, voice soft. "We are not here to take advantage. I want to lead with that. We came because the last 10 years have been painful for everyone. And the truth is, Meredith has missed you deeply." I looked at my daughter. "Have you?" Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. Aaron continued. "We are in a tight place. My consulting work slowed down. Meredith has been under stress. Lucy has had school challenges. We thought maybe, just for a season, we could be together as a family." "What kind of season? 3 months?" Aaron said. "Maybe 4, 6, if we need to be realistic. I can help you manage the property. Meredith can help with meals. Lucy can get stable. You are alone out here. Russ, no offense, but at your age, this much land is a lot." I looked at Lucy. "Come sit down." "Honey." She looked at her mother first. Meredith gave a tiny nod. Lucy crossed the room and sat on the far edge of the sofa, leaving 2 feet between us. "You hungry?" I asked. She swallowed. Aaron answered for her. We grabbed snacks on the road. I kept looking at Lucy. "I asked you." "Not him." Her voice was small. "A little. When did you last eat a meal?" Meredith closed her eyes. Lucy looked down. "Yesterday morning. Something went cold inside me. Not hot. Cold. I have been angry many times in my life. But this was not anger yet. This was the feeling you get when a crane line starts to sing under too much load. And every man on the job knows if nobody moves fast, somebody dies." I stood and went to the kitchen. I made Lucy a plate. Roast beef, cheddar, sliced tomato, a bowl of potato soup, an apple cut into wedges, and a glass of whole milk. I carried it back and set it on the coffee table. "Eat," I said. She waited. I said it again. "Eat." Lucy. She ate like a child who had learned food could disappear, fast at first, then slower, when she realized no one was taking the plate away. Aaron made a soft, embarrassed sound. "Lucy. Manners." I turned my head. "Aaron, if you correct that child while she is eating the first real meal she has had since yesterday morning, you and I are going to have a different conversation in my driveway." His mouth closed. Meredith started crying quietly. I did not comfort her. I watched my granddaughter eat. When Lucy had finished half the soup, I asked, "What happened to your wrist?" Aaron's answer came too fast. "Dog leash. Scout took off at a rest stop. She wrapped it around her hand. The beagle whined from the hall." I looked at Lucy. She did not confirm it. She did not deny it. She stared at the soup. "What school are you in?" I asked. Aaron shifted. "We are between programs. She is 12. I said, "That is not a program. That is school." Meredith whispered, "We homeschool now." "You homeschool," Aaron smiled. "It gives us flexibility." I let the word sit there. Flexibility. I did not ask more in front of the girl. You do not interrogate a frightened child, while the people who frighten her are sitting 8 feet away. I learned that much without a law degree. "There is a guest room down the back hall," I told Lucy. "First door on the right, bathroom across from it. When you finish eating, take Scout with you. Take a shower if you want. And rest. Nobody is going to bother you. She looked at Aaron. I said, "Look at me." "Lucy." She did. "In this house, you are allowed to eat, sleep, and close a door." Her eyes filled so fast it hurt to see. She nodded, picked up the apple wedges, and went down the hall with the dog carrier in both hands. I waited until I heard the bedroom door click shut. Then I turned back to my daughter and her husband. "Now," I said, "tell me what you came to get." Aaron had a speech. He had polished it for hours in that Tahoe. It began with healing. It moved through regret. It touched lightly on Ellen. And I stopped him right there. "Do not use my wife's name as decoration," I said. He lifted both palms. Of course. Then came the true part. Money had been tight. His business had failed. Their rent house in Albuquerque had become unsafe. Lucy needed stability. Meredith needed family. I had all this space. Maybe they could stay. Maybe later, when trust had been rebuilt, we could talk about putting the property in a family trust, just to protect me from taxes and probate and outsiders. Outsiders. That was the word he used for every person who was not him. Meredith barely spoke. She kept wiping her cheeks with the sleeve of a blouse that had been expensive once. When Aaron finally ran out of air, I turned to her. "Meredith, 10 years ago you sat at my kitchen table and told me Aaron was right. You said I was toxic, controlling, and jealous of your happiness. You said if I loved you, I would leave you alone. Do you remember, yes?" She whispered. 2 years after that, your mother got sick. I called you. I left messages. Your mother wrote you a letter by hand when the chemo made typing hurt. You did not answer. I know. She died asking if you were coming. Meredith put both hands over her face. Aaron said, "Russ, grief makes people say things that aren't fair." I looked at him. "If you speak for her one more time, you will do it from the road." He leaned back. For once, he listened. I said, "Your daughter walks into my house hungry, scared, with a bruise around her wrist, and you ask me about a family trust." Meredith sobbed once. Aaron's face hardened for half a second, then smoothed out again. Here is the part that decided everything. I could have thrown them out. I could have walked to the door and pointed down the driveway. I had the money, the land, and the right. But Lucy was in the back bedroom with a beagle and a plate of apple slices. Lucy had Ellen's eyes. Lucy had not eaten since yesterday morning. I needed to know what had happened to that child. And I needed Aaron to believe I was old, lonely, and easy. "You can stay," I said. Aaron's relief flashed too fast. "Not in the master," I said. "2 guest rooms. Back hall. You stay out of my office. You stay out of the garage. You do not open my mail. You do not touch my checkbooks. You do not invite anyone here. This is not a reunion. This is not healing. This is a landing pad. 2 weeks. 2 weeks," Aaron said. "Hos. That hardly gives us time to breathe." "Then breathe in, Albuquerque," Meredith said. "Dad, please. 2 weeks," I said. "Or you can reload the Tahoe right now." Aaron measured me. I saw the calculation happen. He believed 2 weeks was enough time to soften me, confuse me, scare me, or get his name onto something. He smiled. 2 weeks. He said, "Thank you." That night, after 8 suitcases moved down my back hall, and Aaron complained about my Wi-Fi, and Meredith asked where I kept extra towels without looking me in the eye, I locked my office door and made 2 phone calls. The first was to Janine Cho, my attorney in Austin. Janine is 63, 5'2", and built like a paperclip, but I have watched men twice her size lose their voices when she opens a folder. I told her everything. The 10 years, the missed funeral, the 8 suitcases, the hunger, the bruise, the homeschooling, the word trust. Janine listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "Russell, nobody drives from New Mexico to Williamson County with a child. Edo. And 8 suitcases because they want Sunday dinner. I know. I want a licensed investigator on Aaron and Meredith by morning. I want school records. Rental history, criminal history, civil suite, everything. And Russell. Yes, do not be a hero in your own hallway. If that child is in danger, we move through the law, not around it. You give them rope. You stay polite. You record what you can legally record in your own home. You do not threaten. You do not explode. Do you understand me? I understand. You are a terrible actor. I ran union crews for 40 years. I can pretend to be patient. That is not the same thing. The second call was to Manny Rios. Manny had done accident reconstruction for my company before he became a private investigator in San Antonio. He had a voice like gravel in a coffee can and a talent for finding the thing people forgot to hide. I need a workup. I told him. Aaron Pike. Meredith Carver Pike. Last known residence, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Daughter, named Lucy. Age, 12. I need it fast. How fast? 72 hours. That costs extra. I did not call because I was bargain hunting. Manny was quiet for a moment. Is the kid safe tonight? She is under my roof. That is not what I asked. I looked at the locked office door. Down the hall. I could hear the faintest sound of the beagle moving in a crate. She is safer than she was yesterday. I said, then keep her that way. I hung up and sat in the dark office for a long time. On the shelf behind me was a framed picture of Ellen, holding Lucy as a toddler. Lucy had icing on her nose. Ellen was laughing like the world had not yet learned how to be cruel. Ellen had bought birthday gifts for that child every year until she died. Dolls, books, a tiny quilt she made by hand. Most of it was still in the cedar closet, because Meredith returned every package unopened. I had not been able to throw anything away. For the next 4 days, I became the soft old man Aaron needed me to be. I let him talk over me at breakfast. I let him use my truck to go into town. After I quietly wrote down the mileage and checked the dash camera, I let him order groceries on my card, $382 on Wednesday, another $416 on Friday, including steaks he did not ask me about. I let Meredith rearrange my pantry and call it helping. I let her stand in my kitchen and tell someone named Brandy that Dad was frailer than she expected and that the house really needed a woman's touch. Il est tarsai. Aaron thinks we can get him to see Reason before Thanksgiving. I heard it because my house has cameras in the common rooms. Not bathrooms. Not bedrooms. Common rooms. I put them in after a copper thief hit the barn 2 summers before. Aaron and Meredith did not know that. On Thursday afternoon, I watched Aaron in my office on my phone while I sat in the barn pretending to sharpen mower blades. He tried the desk drawers. He tried the file cabinet. He lifted the corner of the rug like men do in movies when they think there might be a floor safe. He found nothing because I am not a fool. Meredith found a stack of medical bills from Ellen's last year and stood over them with her hand on her mouth. For a moment, she looked like my daughter again. Then Aaron came in, whispered something, and she folded the top bill into her purse. That night I asked for it back at dinner. She went white. I held out my hand. The invoice from St. David's. I keep all of them. Aaron laughed. Russ, I think you're confused. No, I said. I am old enough to know the difference between confused and stolen. Meredith reached into her purse and gave it back. Her hand shook. Aaron's eyes went flat. That was the first honest thing he had shown me. But what I truly did those 4 days was watch Lucy. The first 2 nights. Aaron said she was tired and let her eat in her room. On the 3rd evening, I knocked on her door. It's Grandpa Russell. I said, would you and Scout like to sit on the porch? There was a pause. Then the door opened 6 inches. The beagle pushed his nose through first. Lucy had changed into a t-shirt 2 sizes, too big. Her wet hair hung down her back. She looked younger with clean skin, and somehow that made the bruise around her wrist look worse. Can Scout come? She asked. Scout was invited before you were. She almost smiled. We took 2 sandwiches, a bowl of grapes, and a dog biscuit to the back porch. We sat in the long blue light while cicadas screamed in the oaks and the air smelled like dry grass. I did not ask questions for the first 20 minutes. I fed the dog half a biscuit and let Lucy eat. Then I said, do you like horses? She shrugged. I've never been close to one. There is a retired mare, 2 pastures over. Belongs to my neighbor. Her name is Junebug. She is older than most of my opinions. Lucy looked at me. Can you pet her? If you ask politely and bring carrots. Mom says horses kick. Some do. So do people. You still have to learn which ones are safe. She looked away, little by little, over those evenings. I learned the truth. I learned Lucy had not been in a real classroom in almost 2 years. Meredith signed homeschooling papers in New Mexico after a counselor at school asked too many questions about why Lucy slept through first period. There had been no homeschooling. Lucy could read because she loved books, but she had not done a proper math lesson in 18 months. I learned they had been evicted from a rental house in Albuquerque 11 days before they arrived. Not because the house was unsafe, because Aaron had not paid rent for 4 months. I learned Aaron had a temper that arrived without warning and left bruises with explanations already attached. Door frame, dog leash, clumsy fall, wrist stop accident. The wrist bruise came from Sweetwater, Texas. Lucy asked if they could stop long enough to feed Scout. Aaron grabbed her wrist and twisted until she dropped the leash. Meredith had been in the gas station bathroom. When she came out, Lucy was crying. Scout was under the Tahoe. And Aaron told everyone, Lucy was dramatic. I learned Meredith cried a lot, but did not stop him. That sentence is small. The thing it means is not, I learned Scout belonged to Lucy, because a neighbor in Albuquerque had given him to her after seeing her sit alone on the curb every afternoon. Aaron hated the dog. Twice on the drive to Texas. He said he would leave Scout in a ditch if Lucy made another sound. I learned Lucy still loved her mother. Children do that. They love the person who should have protected them and did not. Because needing your mother is deeper than judgment. I hated that for her. I understood it anyway. On Friday morning, Manny's report landed in my private email. 31 pages. I printed it, closed my office door, and read every word twice. Aaron Pike had 3 names. Aaron Joseph Pike, A. J. Pike, and Aaron Vale, in Bernalillo County, New Mexico. He was wanted for questioning in a contractor fraud case involving deposits taken from 6 elderly homeowners for roof repairs that were never started. In Maricopa County, Arizona, he had a bench warrant tied to a probation violation from a financial exploitation plea 4 years earlier. There was more. Civil judgments. Evictions. A closed bank account with overdrafts stacked like cordwood. 2 businesses formed, burned, and abandoned. A trail of angry landlords from Mesa to Albuquerque. Meredith was not wanted for any crime. That should have comforted me. It did not. There were 3 child welfare calls tied to addresses where she and Aaron had lived. 1 in Mesa, 2 in Albuquerque. All closed after the family moved. Refused access. Or provided explanations that sounded rehearsed. One school counselor in Albuquerque had written that Lucy appeared hungry on multiple mornings and guarded her left side when adults approached. A nurse documented bruising on the upper arm consistent with a firm grip. Another note said Lucy became visibly distressed when told the school might call her mother. I sat in my chair with those pages in my lap. My hands were steady. My breathing was not. Then I called Janine. She listened while I summarized the report. When I finished, she used no comforting words. We do this Sunday, she said. What happens Sunday? You invite a few people over. Not a crowd. Me. Manny. One trusted friend if you have him. I am also going to contact a Williamson County deputy I know, and a child protective investigator who can be on standby. We lay out the facts with everyone in the same room. Will they arrest Aaron if the warrant is active and confirmed? Very likely. But our main goal is Lucy. We need a voluntary authorization for temporary care from Meredith, if she will sign it. If she will not, we support an emergency removal and file first thing Monday for temporary orders. The cleanest path is Meredith signing. She will do what Aaron tells her. Maybe. But sometimes when the strong one is cornered, the weak one finally sees the cage. I did not believe that. I wanted to. Those are different things. Janine continued. Russell, you must understand this. If you punch Aaron, threaten Aaron, or lock Aaron in your barn, you become the problem. You give him a story to tell. You stay calm. You let the facts do the hitting. I know. No, you don't. You are a father with guilt and money. That combination does stupid things. I looked at Ellen's picture. I will stay calm. That Friday night, I sat with Lucy on the porch again. Scout slept with his chin on her shoe. The sky over Georgetown went purple, then black, and the first stars came out over the pasture. I said, Lucy, I need to tell you something important. You do not have to answer right away, but you do have to listen. She nodded. On Sunday afternoon, some people are coming here. My lawyer, a man who helped me find information, a lady whose job is to help keep children safe. There will also be someone from the sheriff's office. We are going to talk to your mom and Aaron. Her hand went to Scout's head. I do not want you in the room when it happens. I want you in your bedroom with Scout. Close the door. Put on a movie. Do not come out until I come get you. No matter what you hear. Are they going to be mad? Yes, I said. Probably. At me, no. Not at you. She stared at the boards. Aaron says when adults fight, it's usually because kids make things difficult. Aaron lies. She looked at me then, directly, like she was checking whether I understood what I had just said. I said, no one is going to leave you hungry again. No one is going to twist your wrist again. No one is going to threaten your dog. Not in my house. Not while I am alive. Her chin trembled. She pressed her lips together to stop it. Then she asked in the smallest voice I have ever heard, will they take me somewhere else? I had promised Janine I would not overpromise. I had promised myself I would not lie. I failed both in the shape of a grandfather. No, I said, you are staying with me if you want to. What about Mom? We are going to give your mom a chance to do the right thing. What if she doesn't? I looked out toward the dark pasture. Then I will. Lucy leaned sideways until her shoulder touched mine. That was all. Just a shoulder. But I had not been touched by my family in 10 years. And I had to look away so she would not see what it did to me. Sunday came warm and bright. The kind of Texas October day that makes people forgive the summer. Aaron was cheerful at breakfast. Too cheerful. He poured coffee into Ellen's mug and told me he had been thinking about my property taxes. Land can become a burden, he said. A man can be asset-rich and strategy-poor. Meredith did not look at him. She was cutting Lucy's toast into squares without asking if Lucy wanted it that way. I said, I invited a few old friends over at 3. Aaron's eyes lit up. That's great. Community matters. We should meet the people around you. We should. At 2:30. Lucy took Scout to her room. I gave her my old iPad with a movie already loaded and a plate of chicken salad sandwiches. You remember what I said? Stay in the room until you come get me. That's right. She looked at my face. Are you scared I told the truth? A little. May too. Then we are both brave today. At 3 o'clock. The doorbell rang. I let Aaron answer it. He liked acting like he lived there. First through the door came Big Sam Ortega. Sam is 71. 6'5". A retired foreman from my rigging days. And the only man I know who can make a room behave by leaning against a wall. He nodded to Aaron and came straight to me. Manny Rios came behind him in a plain gray shirt, carrying a thin folder. Janine Cho followed. Hair pinned tight, black suit, leather portfolio in her left hand. Behind Janine came Carla Denning, a Williamson County Sheriff's deputy in plain clothes, and a woman named Priya Harlan from Child Protective Services. Aaron's smile lasted 3 seconds. Meredith stood in the hallway with one hand on the stair rail. She looked at the badge clipped to Deputy Denning's belt, then at me. Dad, she said, what is this? A conversation. I said, front room. Aaron did not move. Russ, I think you owe us an explanation before you bring strangers into a family matter. Janine stepped forward. Mr. Bike, I am Janine Cho, counsel for Mr. Wunnett. Carver, you are going to want to sit down. He looked at Meredith. Get Lucy. No, I said. His eyes snapped to mine. I said it again. No. For a second, I thought he might try me. I hoped he would not. I also hoped he would. That is the ugly truth. Deputy Denning shifted her weight just enough for him to notice. Aaron sat. Meredith sat beside him. Not close. 6 inches between them. I noticed that too. Janine opened her portfolio. We are going to state a series of facts. She said, when I am finished, Meredith will be offered a choice. Aaron, you will also hear information relevant to you. I advise both of you not to interrupt. Aaron laughed once. This is absurd, Deputy Denning said. Sir, let her speak. The room went quiet. Janine began with the evictions. Albuquerque. Mesa. Albuquerque again. She moved to the contractor complaints in Bernalillo County. 6 deposits taken. No work completed. Then to the Maricopa County warrant. Then to the unpaid judgments. Then to the school records. She read the nurse's note about Lucy's bruised arm. She read the counselor's note about Lucy, arriving hungry. She read the child welfare call dates. She read the statement Manny had obtained from the Albuquerque neighbor who gave Lucy the beagle and watched Aaron scream at the child in the parking lot 3 days later. Aaron's face changed slowly. First insulted, then bored, then alert, then cold. Meredith started crying before Janine reached the second child welfare call. Aaron leaned toward her. Do not say a word. Big Sam moved 1 step away from the wall. Janine closed the folder. Meredith, your father is prepared to file Monday morning for emergency temporary orders regarding Lucy. Ms. Harlan is here because the circumstances require child welfare involvement. Deputy Denning is here because Mr. Pike appears to have an active warrant out of Arizona, pending confirmation, and because allegations involving injury to a child have been raised. Aaron stood. This is a setup. Deputy Denning stood too. Sit down. He sat. Janine turned to my daughter. Meredith, you have 2 choices today. Option 1, you sign a voluntary authorization, allowing Lucy to remain in your father's care immediately. You agree to leave this property today, cooperate with the child welfare process, and have no unsupervised contact with Lucy until a court says otherwise. You also agree not to remove Lucy from Williamson County. Meredith was shaking. Janine held up a second finger. Option 2, you refuse. In that case, Ms. Harlan proceeds with an emergency safety plan. Deputy Denning proceeds as law enforcement deems appropriate, and your daughter may spend tonight in a placement that is not this house. While the court process begins, your father will still fight for her, but Lucy will be pulled through more fear than necessary. Aaron snapped. She is not signing anything. Janine ignored him. Meredith, this is your choice. I had prepared myself for failure. I had told myself my daughter was gone. The way a man tells himself a limb is gone after the doctor explains the X-ray. I had rehearsed, not reacting, when she chose Aaron again. But sitting there, looking at the little girl my wife would have loved with her whole body, I still hoped. God forgive me. I hoped like a fool. Aaron gripped Meredith's knee. You sign that. You lose me. Meredith looked at his hand on her knee. Then she looked at me. I do not know what she saw. Maybe an old man. Maybe the father she had thrown away. Maybe the house she wanted. Maybe the child down the hall. Maybe all of it at once. She whispered, Where is Lucy? In her room. I said, Can she hear? No. Meredith closed her eyes. Tears ran down both cheeks. She asked me for cereal last month. She said, I told her we had to save it for Aaron because he had a hard day. Aaron's face went red. Shut up. Meredith flinched, then looked at the flinch like she had found it in her own lap. She said, Where do I sign? Aaron exploded. He called her names. I will not repeat. He stood so fast the coffee table shifted. Deputy Denning was on him before he reached the hallway. Big Sam did not touch him. He did not need to. He simply stood where Aaron wanted to go. Aaron tried to twist away, and that was the end of his dignity. Denning put his arm behind his back, told him to stop resisting, and cuffed him in my front room while he yelled about lawsuits, false imprisonment, and how I had poisoned everyone against him. I watched his silver watch slide down toward his cuffed wrist. It looked cheap then. They took him out the front door and put him in the back of an unmarked county vehicle. He kept shouting until the door closed. Then I could not hear him anymore. Meredith signed at my dining table. Her signature shook so badly. Janine had her print her name beneath it. Priya Harlan sat beside her and explained the next steps in a voice that was firm but not cruel. When the papers were done, Meredith laid the pen down and looked at me like a child waiting for punishment. "Dad," she said. "I'm sorry." I said nothing. "I'm sorry about Mom. I'm sorry about Lucy. I'm sorry about all of it." "I believe you are sorry," I said. "That is not the same as making it right." She covered her mouth and nodded. I stood. "There is a small suitcase in the guest room. Pack enough for 3 days. Sam will drive you to a hotel in Round Rock. Janine has arranged for a counselor to meet you tomorrow morning if you show up." I put $2,000 in an envelope for food and a room. "After that, you are on your own. Unless the court or Lucy says otherwise. I can't see her. Not today. She will think I left her." I felt the anger then. Not cold. Hot. "She has spent years thinking you left her while standing in the same room." Meredith bent like the words hit her in the stomach. "Maybe they did." I lowered my voice. "You are going to get help. You are going to tell the truth. You are going to stop choosing the loudest person in the room. Maybe one day your daughter will want to know you without being afraid of you. That is not my decision. It is not yours anymore either." She cried quietly. I did not hug her. Sam drove her away at 5:20 in the afternoon. She sat in the passenger seat with one suitcase and the envelope on her lap. I stood on the porch and watched the truck go down my driveway. For 10 years, I had imagined what I would say if my daughter came home. None of the speeches had included sending her away before supper. After everyone left, the house felt stunned, like a storm had passed through and taken the roof, even though every shingle was still in place. I walked down the back hall and knocked on Lucy's door. "It's Grandpa Russell," I said. "You can come out." The door opened slowly. Lucy stood there with Scout pressed against her legs. "Are they gone?" she asked. "Aaron is gone. Your mom is gone for tonight." Her face folded. She did not make a sound at first. Then she said, "Did I do something bad?" "No." "Is Scout staying?" "Yes." "Am I staying?" "Yes." That was when she broke. Not loudly. Lucy did not know how to be loud yet. She slid down the doorframe, and I went down with her. Even though my knees objected, I sat on the floor in my own hallway. An old man with money, land, and no idea how to fix a child's heart. I opened my arms. She crawled into them. Scout climbed halfway into my lap, too. Because dogs understand family faster than people do. Lucy cried into my shirt for a long time. I held her and looked at the opposite wall, where Ellen had hung a small framed watercolor of bluebonnets. I thought, you were right to keep buying gifts. You were right to keep hoping. I am sorry I almost stopped. That was 2 years and 3 months ago. Lucy is 15 now. She is in real school. The first year was hard. She had to catch up in math, science, history, everything except reading. Reading was the one place. Nobody had been able to starve her. She plays junior varsity soccer. She has gained 28 pounds and grown 5 inches. She has braces she complains about every morning and shows off every afternoon. She has a best friend named Maya who comes over on Fridays, eats half my pantry, and calls me Mr. C, even though I told her Russell was fine. Lucy calls me Pops. The first time she did it, I was fixing the garbage disposal and banged my head on the sink because I forgot where I was. Scout is fat now. Not dangerously fat, according to Lucy. Just emotionally secure. He sleeps at the foot of her bed and barks at delivery drivers with the confidence of a dog who has never read a warrant. Aaron was extradited to Arizona 6 weeks after that Sunday. The fraud cases in New Mexico did not disappear. I do not know all the details. Because I stopped making Aaron my business once the court made Lucy mine. Last I heard, he had taken a plea that put him away for several years. Meredith went to the counseling appointment. Then another. Then a support group. Then a second support group. She lives in Temple now. Works at a dental office. And has been sober from whatever fear Aaron kept pouring into her for 18 months. I know fear is not a substance. But I have learned it can intoxicate a person just the same. She writes to Lucy once a month. The letters come to Janine first, then to Lucy's therapist. Then to Lucy. If Lucy wants them, sometimes she reads them. Sometimes she puts them in a shoebox unopened. I do not touch that shoebox. They have had supervised visits. 3 so far. The first lasted 16 minutes. The second lasted 34. The third, Lucy asked if they could walk outside. I sat in the parking lot and stared at my hands until they came back. I do not know whether Meredith will ever be a mother Lucy can trust. I hope she will. I no longer confuse hope with a plan. As for me, I am learning to be a father again at 68. Grandfather is too small a word for what I feel responsible for now. Lucy is my granddaughter by blood. Yes, but in the daily work of breakfast, permission slips, nightmares, braces, appointments, school plays, dog food, and teaching her how to check the oil in my truck. She is my child. Last month, she asked if she could paint her room yellow. Ellen hated yellow walls, said they made a room look like mustard. I almost said no out of habit. Then Lucy showed me the paint card and said, "It feels like morning." So we painted it yellow. We got more paint on the baseboards than the walls. She played music too loud. Scout stepped in the paint tray and left yellow paw prints across the hallway before we caught him. I should have been mad. Instead, I laughed so hard I had to sit down. That night, after she went to bed, I stood in the doorway and looked at that ridiculous yellow room glowing under the lamp. There were textbooks on the desk, soccer cleats by the closet, a stack of library books on the chair, and Ellen's old quilt folded across the foot of the bed. The quilt had finally found the child it was made for. I want to tell you what I learned, because a man should not survive a thing like this and keep the lesson to himself. Blood is not family by itself. Blood is a beginning. It is not a guarantee. Family is who protects the small places in you. Family is who shows up when showing up is inconvenient. Family is who tells the truth, even when the truth burns the house down. Aaron used family as a key. He thought the word would open my door, my wallet, my land, my guilt. He did not understand that keys can turn both ways. The same door he walked through smiling became the door he was taken out of in handcuffs. Meredith used silence as a hiding place. For 10 years. She hid from me. For too long. She hid from what was happening to her own child. Silence can feel safe when you are afraid. But silence is not neutral. Silence feeds the thing you refuse to name. And me, I used pride as armor. I told myself if my daughter did not want me, I would not beg. I told myself I had dignity. Maybe I did. But dignity did not send one more letter. Dignity did not drive to Albuquerque and knock on doors. Dignity did not find Lucy sooner. That is a hard thing to admit. I failed my daughter in ways I am still sorting through. I failed my granddaughter by not pushing harder when the returned gifts started stacking up. I cannot rewrite that. All I can do is make sure my regret does not become another excuse to stand still. People become what they practice. Aaron practiced taking, until taking was the only language he spoke. He took deposits from old people who trusted him. He took rent money and spent it. He took food from a child's plate and called it discipline. By the time he reached my porch, taking was not a decision. It was a reflex. Meredith practiced surrender, until surrender felt like peace. She let one boundary fall, then another, until even her child's hunger could be explained away as a hard season. I practiced distance. I called it respecting her wishes. Sometimes it was cowardice wearing clean clothes. Now I practice something else. I practice showing up. I practice asking Lucy if she ate, even when I already know she did. I practice telling her the truth in pieces she can carry. I practice saying, "You are safe," and then building a life that proves it. I practice letting her be 15, which means dramatic, private, funny, mode, brilliant, and occasionally impossible. I practice not making my pain her inheritance. Maybe that is what family really is. Not the people who never fail you. People fail. Parents fail. Children fail. I am living proof. Family is the people who come back to the work after the failure and do not ask the wounded person to pretend it did not hurt. If your own blood wrote you off, I want you to hear me. You are not finished. You are not the worst thing someone said about you when they wanted your chair, your money, your house, or your silence. You can still become shelter for somebody. You can still be the locked door between a child and the person coming to hurt them. And if you are the one who has been silent while someone weak was being crushed, stop calling silence peace. It is not peace. It is permission. Hit the like button if you made it this far. Subscribe to Silent Family Revenge if you want more stories about the kind of justice that does not need to shout. And tell me in the comments, was I too hard on my daughter? Or did I give her more mercy than she earned? Should I have let the system take all of them that day? Or was keeping Lucy out of more fear? The only thing that mattered, I read every comment. I always do. Take care of the family that shows up. And when the wrong people show up only after the money does, do not mistake their hunger for love. There is one more thing I think about now. Usually late at night when the house is quiet, and Lucy's yellow room is dark, except for the little lamp she keeps on by the bed. Every life is built out of habits before it is built out of disasters. People talk about the day everything changed, like it fell from the sky. It usually does not. It grows. Quietly. Daily. A look you ignore. A lie you forgive because you are tired. A phone call you do not return. A child who stops asking for breakfast because asking has become dangerous. Nobody becomes cruel in one morning. Nobody becomes brave in one morning either. Aaron had practiced cruelty in small safe rooms long before he practiced it in my house. He learned which people would lower their eyes. He learned which lies sounded responsible. He learned that if he used words like family, stress, protection, and respect, decent people would waste precious time trying to be fair. Meredith had practiced fear for so long that fear started wearing her voice. When Aaron said sit, she sat. When he said smile, she smiled. When he said your father is poison, she swallowed it because swallowing was easier than fighting. Then one day her daughter was hungry, and Meredith had no muscle left for no. That is why I tell Lucy courage is not a mood. Courage is a habit. You build it before you need it, or you will reach for it in the crisis and find nothing there. We practice small courage in this house. She tells me when she is angry, even if her voice shakes. I apologize when I am wrong, even if I am the adult. She orders her own food at restaurants because asking for what she wants still feels like standing on a roof edge. I let her do it. I do not rescue her from every tremble. Last week at dinner, the waiter brought her the wrong plate. She looked at it, looked at me, and I saw the old Lucy for half a second. The one who would have eaten anything placed in front of her because correcting an adult was dangerous. Then she lifted her hand. "Excuse me," she said. "I ordered the chicken, not the pasta." The waiter apologized and fixed it. Nothing exploded. No one yelled. No dog was threatened. No wrist was grabbed. Lucy looked at me after he left, pretending it was nothing. But her smile gave her away. That is victory. Not the courtroom. Not the money. Not Aaron in cuffs. Victory is a 15-year-old girl asking for the dinner she ordered and believing she is allowed to receive it. I am 68 years old. I thought my building years were behind me. I was wrong. Steel was simple compared to this. Steel tells you when it is overloaded. Children do not always know how. Families do not come with load charts. Love does not care how tired you are. But every morning, I get another chance to build. I make breakfast. I sign school papers. I learn the names of soccer positions. I keep the pantry full. I keep my promises small, and then I keep them. I tell Lucy she is loved when she leaves for school, and when she comes home. Because Ellen used to tell Meredith that, and I do not know where the message broke. I only know I am sending it again. Maybe one day Meredith will be strong enough to sit at this table without making Lucy smaller. Maybe one day Lucy will want that. Maybe not. I have stopped trying to force endings that make adults comfortable. For now, there is a girl sleeping under a yellow quilt, a fat beagle snoring at her feet, and an old man down the hall who finally understands that quiet is not the same as peace. Peace is hearing a child open the refrigerator without asking. Peace is a dog barking at nothing because he expects to be answered kindly. Peace is a house that used to be too big, becoming exactly the right size. And justice. the kind I believe in now, is not revenge, for revenge's sake. It is not screaming. It is not showing off. It is taking the hand off a child's wrist, closing the door behind the person who put it there, and making sure that door never opens again.